Welcome back, my most ambitious and dedicated learners. While our previous lessons explored the digital world, today's topic is about the most important hard drive you possess, your journey to success. Specifically, we are diving into the chilly but fascinating story of the Iceberg of Success, a lesson about why your brain needs the data of failure even more than the data of a computer. The myth of the natural genius. Meet Peter. Peter is what we call a perfectionist. He is currently a B1 English student with a very specific problem. He hates being wrong. When Peter speaks English, he sounds like a very slow, very expensive computer. He spends 10 seconds thinking about every the, a, and an. If he makes a tiny mistake with a verb tense, he turns red and stops talking for the rest of the day. Peter looks at his teacher, who speaks English fluently, and thinks, it's so easy for them. They were probably born with a dictionary in their hand. I'm just not a natural. Peter is only looking at the tip of the iceberg. In psychology and business, we often use the iceberg metaphor. Above the water, everyone sees the success, the trophy, the fluent speech, the high salary, the perfect life on Instagram. It looks shiny, easy, and effortless. But below the waterline, there is a massive, heavy, and often messy foundation that supports that tiny tip. The science of screwing up. You might think that failure is the opposite of success. However, neuroscientists would disagree. When you make a mistake, for example, if you say, I have been to London yesterday, oops, past simple versus present perfect, your brain does something incredible. Studies on growth mindset, popularized by Stanford professor Carol Dweck, show that the brain actually grows when we struggle. When we make a mistake and correct it, our neural pathways become stronger. There's a substance called myelin that wraps around your brain's circuits. The more you struggle and practice, the thicker the myelin becomes, making your thoughts faster and more accurate. In a funny way, every time you fail at a grammar exercise, you are literally insulating your brain for future success. If you never fail, your myelin stays thin. The Museum of Beautiful Failures. Let's look at some icebergs from history. Did you know that James Dyson, the man who invented the famous vacuum cleaner, created 5,126 failed prototypes? For 15 years, he lived in debt, covered in dust, making machines that didn't work. On his 5,127th try, he succeeded. If James had stopped at failure number 5,000, we would still be using old, dusty bags. Or consider Michael Jordan, perhaps the greatest basketball player in history. He once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Jordan's iceberg is made of 9,000 missed shots. His tip is the 6 NBA championships. Henry and the Great English Disaster. Back to our English learners. Let's look at Henry, who is the opposite of Peter. Henry has the growth mindset of a happy puppy. Last week, Henry had to give a presentation in English. He practiced, but he was nervous. 10 minutes into the speech, he completely forgot the word for revenue. Instead of stopping, he panicked and said, the money mountain we make? The whole room laughed. A perfectionist like Peter would have jumped out of the window, but Henry laughed too. He said, "Yes, the money mountain. It's very big this year." After the meeting, Henry's boss told him, "Henry, your English isn't perfect, but your confidence is great. You made everyone feel comfortable." Henry's failure, forgetting a word, actually became a success because he didn't let the iceberg sink him. He used the mistake to connect with people. He went home, wrote down the word revenue, and now he will never forget it. That word is now permanently encoded in his memory. How to build your own iceberg? If you want to reach the B2 level and beyond, you need to start loving the underwater part of your journey. Here is some advice for my most ambitious students. When you try a difficult sentence and it falls apart like a wet cake, say, "Great, my myelin is growing." Never say, "I can't speak fluently." Say, "I can't speak fluently yet." That tiny word changes your brain from a closed state to an open state. In the beginning, try to speak more, not better. If you speak 1,000 bad sentences, you will eventually find 10 good ones. If you only try to speak good sentences, you will only ever say hello and fine, thank you. Don't just read the answers. Try the exercise first without looking. The struggle is where the learning happens. The truth about the tip. Next time you see someone who speaks perfect English or someone who has a perfect career, don't be jealous. Instead, imagine the massive, frozen block of failures they are standing on. They didn't get there because they were lucky or born with it. They got there because they were willing to be Henry 1,000 times before they became the expert. Remember, the iceberg doesn't float because of the tip. It floats because of the 90% that is hidden beneath the surface. Your mistakes are not signs that you are failing. They are the very bricks you are using to build your future. I truly hope you enjoyed the theme of today's lesson. It is a reminder that you should never be afraid of the water. The iceberg of your mistakes is actually what keeps you afloat. I encourage you to listen to the story again or read the vocabulary list. Repetition is, after all, the secret ingredient to successful learning and the foundation of your future success. Stay curious, stay resilient, and I look forward to seeing your icebergs grow. À de nouveaux rencontres. Until we meet again.